increasing your power bill for no fucking reason?
Because I do. Let's talk about mining Monero, the only cryptocurrency in the world that has remained ASIC resistant. What is an ASIC?
It's one of these!
Well, an ASIC is an application-specific integrated circuit. And what that means is basically you can build a piece of silicon where every single little transistor on there is specifically dedicated to doing one task, which is why we've optimized a lot of algorithms for cryptocurrency mining that used to be very, very profitable on your graphics card or on your CPU, and we've since perfected exactly the way to get everything to work so that it's profitable for a very, very specific coin or algorithm. For example, SHA-256, which is for Bitcoin, or Script, which is for Doge, Litecoin, and, well, PEP. We're going to talk more about PEP in the future. Great coin. You should buy some immediately. We're going to moon soon. No, I'm just kidding. It's cool and the community is fantastic. How this relates to Monero is the only cryptocurrency that is still even remotely possible to be profitable on regular old computers. You know, one of these. So this is an old Dell Optiplex 7040. It's got a Core i5 and it's completely useless for mining Monero. I'm maybe gonna get like 1 penny out of this thing from running it during the day. But I'm going to use it as an example today to show you how to set up your computer to mine Monero. I'm not going to cover how to do this with Linux. Before you get too disappointed in the very, very beginning, and before you get mad at me, the reason why I'm not showing anything to do with Linux is because it's not, in my opinion, worth the amount of setup time that you have to go through and the amount of optimizations that you have to run through in order to get it to work properly to get the 1 to 2% of gains that you're going to get. Now, obviously, different hardware configurations, it might be worth it for you to actually use Linux. But I'm talking about mining Monero from just the normal layman perspective. Someone like me who's techie and has a bunch of extra hardware laying around, but doesn't want to spend 4 to 5 hours per machine optimizing Linux, getting everything installed. And before you go, oh, I've got an Arch Linux distro that all you do is plug in a USB and it instantly starts mining to my pool and blah, 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 blah. I've done that too. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, in my opinion. And honestly, if you want to get that far into the nitty-gritty, go for it. Learn about it. It's fantastic. I love Linux. I'm not a Linux hater. I'm just merely saying that if you're the type of person that likes to get that deep into it, this tutorial isn't for you. Okay? So, I hope we cleared that up. And if I get a single freaking comment of one of you being like, well, I actually get a little bit more hash rate from running Linux, I will strangle you. All right, let's actually talk about some mining. So first and foremost, I'm just going to show you how to use your personal computer that you already have laying around to mine Monero via the GUI wallet. And then after that, I'm going to show you how to use XMRig, which will get you much more hash rate. It's a little more resource intensive, and it's a little bit harder to set up because you have to like sign up for a pool and all that kind of stuff. So first and foremost, before we start any of this process, I'm just going to throw out a disclaimer here. You're going to have to disable your antivirus at some point, most likely, in order to get anything that we're doing to install. I take no responsibility for any way that you damage your computer. If your CPU overheats and it fries your motherboard because your configuration was incorrect, I take no responsibility for that. Or if you get a virus, I take no responsibility for that. Your antivirus is going to flag anything Monero related as a virus, and it will flag anything that you're using as a crypto miner as a virus. So if you get a virus because you left your antivirus off after installing everything, that is on you, not on me. So let's get started. All right, step one is you're just going to open up whatever web browser you have and search up Monero. Whoa, super easy, crazy. You're going to go to downloads. Then you're going to go to, well, oh, I'm already on download. Department of Redundancy Department. Anyway, you're going to go to downloads. Then you're going to scroll down. And if you're on Windows or Linux or Mac or whatever, I'm just going to get the 64-bit installer. And then before we actually click to install this, we're going to go to Windows Security. And you're going to go ahead and go to Virus and Threat Protection Settings and disable real-time protection. I know, it's actually kind of terrifying even for me. Yes, I know Windows! Yes, it's kind of terrifying for me. All right, now we're all downloaded, and we're going to go ahead and just start the install. Pretty self-explanatory. I would leave all default directories just so that way you don't have any weird stuff going on. So, yeah, default directories, call it a day. All right, once you've got everything installed, you're just going to go ahead and open everything up. Well, open up the application. Open everything up. That's too much. And we're going to set this up in advanced mode. We're going to create a new wallet. name it whatever you want. There's your seed phrase. Do not ever show this to anyone. To anyone. Do not make a digital copy of it. Do not take a photo of it and upload it to your iCloud. People can steal all of your crypto whenever they want if they get access to your cloud data. Print it as a template, like actually physically print it, or write it down. I'm just showing you this during the setup process because I already have my keys backed up for my mainline Monero wallet. So it doesn't matter. We're setting something up from scratch. It's on a completely different computer, on a completely different network. So I'm fine to show you this. You, once again, I cannot emphasize this enough. You should never show your seed phrase to anyone. It's the same thing with your bank details. Don't give that away to anyone. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick photo of this, as you should, or at least, take a screenshot, whatever, delete it afterwards. But because next we have to fill in all of the gaps that it creates. And also seed phrases are always funny because I'm going to sniff my useless cousin. That's so dumb. All right, now you're just going to create a quick password. I'm just going to create my password as 1, 1, boom, passwords match. Very, very easy. Okay, so now it's going to ask you whether you want to start a node locally on your own computer or bootstrap a node, as in you connect to someone else's node. You can go on to Monero nodes, or I'm just going to search Monero nodes. I believe that you can find, you can find tons of them, how to run it. You can find public nodes that are available. The reason why I prefer to just run my own node whenever I'm doing this is simply because it's a little bit more secure. You're not giving your data up, and it's really, really easy to do. Also, always check the option to prune it. I've already had a node on this computer before, so I don't need to prune it. All right, so now once you're in, it's going to start downloading the entire state of the node. So it'll say disconnected, and you click Start Daemon. So once you do that, it's going to download the entire blockchain to your computer, which will take up to a day and about 200 gigabytes. Unless you prune the node, like we just had that option earlier to do that checkbox, if you prune the node, then what happens is it actually lowers the amount of space that it takes up on your computer. So once it's all the way downloaded, then you can start the option of mining. All right, it's the next day. Starting my daemon took way longer than I thought it would for it to synchronize. So we're back. Once the daemon is started, then you're going to go to the advanced tab over here, and then you're going to pick where you're mining to. So you can mine solo or P2 pool. Now, I don't recommend mining solo at all, unless you just want to leave your computer running in hopes of finding a block. Because if you find a block, then you get the full payout for that block, which is, I believe, 1 Monero. I'm not sure. I think it's just 1 Monero right now. But I always recommend mining with P2 pool and using the mini chain, not the main chain. So the mini chain is just going to give you more frequent payouts. That's really all my knowledge on it, if I'm being honest. And I would recommend starting with half of your CPU threads and seeing what your hash rate is, and then trying all of your threads and seeing what your hash rate is. If you start with half, basically the way that Monero mining goes without any sort of nitty-gritty is it's RAM dependent and also very, very much so dependent on the amount of cache that your CPU has. So Intel people are at a very, very big disadvantage here versus AMD people. Just simply because they don't have the nitty-gritty cache things. Okay, look, I'm being super reductionist, but basically, if you're on an AMD CPU, you have a much higher probability of being able to use all of your threads. So once you're here, it's as simple as clicking the Start Mining button, and then you'll start mining. Now, you may have to restart it. So sometimes what will happen is it will say network disconnected, and then at that point when it does, you have to go back to your settings and start the daemon again. It just happens sometimes. It's the nature of the GUI wallet. It's not incredibly optimized, but it works well enough. And this is the simplest way to start mining some Monero. Also, one last note, experiment with the amount of threads that your CPU has, because sometimes using 3 threads when you have 4 available is better than using 2 threads versus the 4 that you have. It just depends on your configuration. At the end of the day, play with it and see what gives you the highest amount of hash rate. Also, one more note. Once you start mining, it'll tell you what your hash rate is right here. So I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to restart again. And as you see, using all of my CPU threads is actually going to give me a much higher hash rate than using half of them. I'm on a Ryzen 7900 X3D, So because of that, I'm able to use all 16 of my threads for mining. That's just, it once again, depends on your hardware. Just play around with it and you'll figure it out. Also, I'm sorry if my recording is garbage. I keep forgetting that this uses all of my CPU. Now, next one I'm going to show you is how to set up a computer, any computer that you have laying around, to be a specifically dedicated mining Monero rig with XMRig. Now, the steps that we're going to follow when we're setting up XMRig are the same for if you already have a computer that you use just for gaming or your daily use. Once we get to the steps of XMRig, and I think I'm going to put a timestamp on the video and in the description of when I actually get to the part of setting up XMRig. But to start, we're just going to show you how to set up a specific computer dedicated only to mining Monero, including all of the Windows settings that you need to disable. Step 1, find a power cable. Where'd my power cable go? Okay, step 1 is finding a power cable. Step 2 is you're going to need a Microsoft boot drive. Now, if you don't understand how to install Microsoft Windows, there's a million tutorials out there on how to install Windows 10. We're going with Windows 10, not 11, because this computer can't run Windows 11, although there are workarounds for that. But we're just going to install Windows 10, and then as soon as Windows 10 is installed, then I'll catch up with you guys. Hello, this is Editor Me. You need to make sure that you're installing Windows 10 Professional. Nothing that I'm about to show you as far as fixes for automatic updates or Cortana will work on Windows 10 Home. So you need to make sure that you are installing Windows 10 Professional, preferably the edition marked N, because that one has less fluff and stuff like that. So back to the video, just wanted to clear that up. Okay, you are successfully now into your Windows install. So what do we do first? The first thing you're going to do with a dedicated Windows install is you are going to install every single update that's available until there are no updates available. So you're going to click check for updates, install everything, and then as soon as there are no updates available and you've rebooted several times, including all of the optional ones, then we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of the background processes. Processes? I think that's the right word. We're going to get rid of all of that crap, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So just update Windows fully, and then we will go from there. Okay, it's day 3. We got it working, finally. Okay, so I reinstalled everything, and this is just a baseline install, all of the updates. I just ran Windows Update without exaggeration for like 3 hours because this computer is very slow. Everything has been updated in its entirety, checked for updates. We're going to check one more time just to see if there's anything available. There's nothing available. Perfect. All right. Now I can show you guys what to do before we even install XMRig. Okay, first and foremost, I didn't really explain this when I was installing Windows, but you want to be on a local account, ideally. Get rid of all of that crap. It's super duper annoying. No one cares about it. But regardless, if you do sign in with your Windows account and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't actually really affect the performance of Windows that much at all. So we don't have to be super concerned about that, but I just figured I'd put in a note here. Oh, and another note, the only thing that I did thus far is install Google Chrome. That's it. All right, we're going to start from scratch here. So first things first, we're going to go Control-Alt-Delete. You're going to go to your task manager. You're going to go to Startup, and you're going to disable everything. It does not matter what it is. We're disabling everything. Get rid of it. It's stupid. No one cares. Okay, perfect. There we go. Everything is disabled. Then next thing we're going to do is go down to Control Panel and go to Uninstall a Program, and we are going to uninstall everything. Well, except Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, because you can't uninstall those. And also driver components. Like, you don't have to get rid of driver components. Oh, and also don't uninstall the update for x64-based systems. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, and after you've uninstalled everything that's not necessary, just go ahead and restart your computer. Okay, so now we've uninstalled everything that's unnecessary. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to group. Oh, we're going to search down here in the search bar, which is fine. Group policy editor. So just search group policy, edit group policy. Okay? And here's where we're going to get interesting. All right? We're going to open this up a little bit. So we're going to go to administrative templates, Windows components, and then we are going to disable. Oh, it's down here. I forgot. So we're going to go to search and then allow Cortana. Double click that and click disabled. Then click apply. All right? Then we're going to go back. And there's one more thing that we're going to do. Windows Update at the very bottom, and it should be Configure Automatic Updates. We're going to completely disable that as well. So now the computer will not restart or anything like that. And then there's one last thing to do in Control Panel. Actually, I think we can just do it in Settings, and it's Power and Sleep Settings. When plugged in, turn off after, never. When plugged in, PC goes to sleep after, never. All right, there we go. And now we're all set up and we can start running XMRig. Okay, here's where I'm going to teach you how to set up XMRig. This is also applicable if you just want to run XMRig on just your regular old computer without like setting up a dedicated machine specifically for mining. So step one is we're actually going to disable your antivirus temporarily. So once again, as we did before, we're going to go to Windows Security. And then you're going to go to Virus and Threat Protection. Manage settings, and turn off real-time protection. That's the only thing you really need to toggle off. Well, actually, cloud delivered probably too, but it's fine. Yes, I understand. Thank you, Windows. So once we've got that turned off, we're going to hop into your web browser of choice. You can do this through Microsoft Edge as well. I just prefer Chrome. And before you guys get mad at me for that, I don't care. So we're just going to search up XMRig. We're going to go ahead and download it right here. For Windows, I understand, show the link, and go ahead and download. Super easy, super simple, super self-explanatory. All right, and then once we've got it downloaded, we're going to right-click, click Extract All, and then we're going to go ahead and drop this directly onto our desktop. There we go. Now we've got a nice little way to run XMRig. Okay, now we're going to get into the setup of XMRig now that you've got it on your desktop. Now, if you don't know what pool to mine to or how to mine to a pool or how any of that works, I suggest going back to the beginning of the video and just mining using your wallet. But if you would like to mine with P2 Pool or Monero Ocean, or I mine with Mining Dutch because I like to convert all of my Monero earnings into Pepcoin because I love Pep. It's my one love. It's the only thing that I mine, or at least I convert all of my mining rewards, including my Aleo, directly into Pep because I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I don't suggest that you do that. Like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, but it is something that you can do. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to set everything up with Mining Dutch, which is the pool that I use, once again. And we're mining with 1 kilohash, which will net us about 2 cents per day. Wow, I wasn't that far off. So this is the URL that we're going to use in order to mine with. This is our username, and we can change this in XMRig. And then it's just going to recommend a password to you. This is pretty typical of any pool out there. Okay, so I'm going to show you where to put this information. So before you ever run XMRig, you're going to go to your config.json. Okay, so you're going to double click it. Then click More Apps, check Always Use this app to open JSON files, Notepad, and then click OK. All right, and now it's going to open up our configuration page. And you're going to scroll very close to the bottom, and you're going to have your user address, your password, and your URL. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over here, and then we're going to open up this right here, and we're going to scroll down. All right, so here's our URL, 9339. Boom. Oh, and actually, one thing that I will say, we're going to go back up here really quick, and we're going to change this to North America, just so that way we make sure that we're correct. Okay, So stratum plus TCP Americas mining Dutch.nl.3339. So we're going to copy that, and then we're going to paste this inside of the quotation marks. All right. So we're just going to go paste inside of the quotation marks, stratum plus TCP Americas mining Dutch 3339. There we go. And then our username right here is going to be my username plus my worker. So we're gonna name this test. So we're gonna do test. Okay, perfect. And then our password, I mean, obviously you can just put in X for your password. It really does not matter, but since Mining Dutch puts in a recommended password, D equals 5,000, we're gonna do that. All right, there we go. Boom, very, very easy. And all of these settings, you are going to leave completely alone. XMRig is amazing at setting itself up completely automatically on its own, so you do not need to touch anything else other than just your URL, your username. And by the way, on most pools, this is your username for the pool, and then followed by dot whatever you want your worker name to be, and then a password. And then you're just going to click up here, you're going to click File, click Save, and then we can go ahead and exit out of both of these. And then you're going to go to XMRig down here, right-click, and click Run as Administrator. Now, I'm going to show you first what happens if you don't run it as administrator. We're just going to double-click. All right. So it's going to say, failed to apply MSR mod. Hash rate will be low. And it's also going to show that Huge Pages is unavailable as well. So let's see what kind of hash rate we get. And it automatically configures my quad-core CPU to mine with 3 threads rather than all 4 or just 2. 3 is the optimal amount for the CPU, and what's amazing about XMRig is it will automatically configure the optimum amount of threads to use in 99% of cases. That's why I love it so much. So we're going to let this run for a second, see what kind of hash rate we get without running as administrator and without Huge Pages. Okay, we've been hashing for a split second here. It looks like we're getting 1 kilohash, 1,005 hashes. That's not a lot, obviously, but it's quite a bit. I mean, it's, once again, it's like 2 cents a day. So, oh, look at that. We're getting 1,023 now. So next we're going to enable Huge Pages, and we're also going to enable the MSR mod. So in order to do that, we are going to right-click, run as administrator. We're going to run it as administrator, okay? So it shows all of the presets, everything shows up. Let's see what kind of hash rate we get even without Huge Pages. Okay, so it looks like with administrator privileges, we picked up another 100 hashes. 1,200 at the maximum, but yeah, so we're at 1,100 hashes. So now what we're going to do is we are going to restart our computer really quick and then fire up XMRig again in order to enable Huge Pages. The way that you enable Huge Pages is you run XMRig as administrator once and allow it to start hashing for about a minute or 2. I recommend waiting about 5 minutes and then just go ahead and quitting out and restarting your computer really quick, and that will automatically enable Huge Pages. So we're going to do that right now. All right, now we're restarted, and since we disabled all of our startup processes, our boot time is really, really fast, which is fantastic. We're going to fire up XMRig and see what kind of hash rate we get now that we've enabled everything that we can on Windows. We're going to go full screen because cool. Also, you'll notice up here after we restarted, permission granted for Huge Pages. 1 gigabyte pages will always be unavailable. That is a Linux-only feature. Once again, we're not touching Linux. You can figure that out on your own if you'd like to. This isn't the tutorial for you. Perfect. Now we're getting a hash rate of about 1,600 with Huge Pages enabled and administrator access. Whenever you load up XMRig, you always have to remember to right-click it and click Run as Administrator. That is very, very important in order to make sure that you get a good hash rate. One last thing that we're going to go ahead and check on here real quick is we're going to check and make sure that we are actually showing up in our pool. All right, I've signed back in here, and if you'll notice here, test is showing up. Multiport, and look at that. It's showing up, well, it's showing up with a low hash rate. It will take a little while for it to update. But yeah, there it is. There's our worker showing up. That's fantastic. Also, here's all my other workers that I have working right now. So yeah, we're doing fantastic. Let's go. Job success. Fantastico. Also, with a lot of applications, and especially with Intel CPUs, running something like Chrome in the background, if you'll notice, completely crashed our hash rate. So it's not a good idea to run anything in the background other than maybe like a pep node. Ooh, if you have a computer that you can leave on, open up and run a pep node in the background. That might be the next video that I show, how to set up a pep node properly. But we've got it all working. Everything is showing up in our actual pool. And there we go. That's how you set everything up. Now, just apply the steps that I applied to this computer when I started setting up XMRig to you if you just want to mine on your regular desktop computer. But you don't have to disable all of your startup stuff. You don't have to like actually go through and do all of that crazy stuff. That's more just if you want to have a computer completely dedicated to mining Monero nonstop and doing literally nothing else. So there we go. We're all set up. I hope that this was informative for you guys. I hope that you guys learned something about it. If I made any errors or if I legitimately misspoke on something, I was making some jokes earlier in the video of like, oh, don't be a nerd emoji in the comments. But if I legitimately got something wrong, please don't hesitate to call me out. I hope you guys had a good time. Sorry for a longer video, but hey, at the end of the day, it gives me an excuse to upload. Very, very excited about all of this crypto junk that I'm learning about. Also, I will say the crypto community is pretty dang cool. A lot of you guys are legit. If you ignore all of the stupid crypto bros that are just in it to get rich, on a technical aspect, crypto's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying talking about this stuff. Hey, maybe I'll just dedicate my channel to talking to crypto from now on. I mean, not likely, but maybe, who knows? Once again, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys had some fun. And if you liked the video, go ahead and slap a like on it. And if you did not like the video, your opinion is completely invalid and you can go fuck yourself. I hope you have a great night. Good night, everybody. Because I do, let's talk about mining Monero. But I'm going to use it as an example today to teach you how to set up and mine Monero. And we're going to talk about... I'm just showing you... Okay, first and I'm going to show you how to do it through... Sorry. Damn it. Okay, now that we've restarted, and once again, since we've... Here we go. I'm going to fire up...